Our minds are like magnets which attract what we think about. Hello, I'm Carla, psychotherapist and mindset coach, and on this channel I help you get unstuck and reach your goals by exploring topics that shift your mindset so you can live your highest potential. We are continuing the reading of Think and Grow Rich in 10 Minutes by Napoleon Hill. We're finishing the introduction. We left off last reading at the law of attraction. Let's read a little bit of this together and we'll discuss. The law of attraction. Our brains become magnetized with the dominating thoughts which we hold in our minds, and these magnets attract to us the people, the circumstances of life, which harmonize with the nature of our dominating thoughts. Our minds are like magnets that attract what we think about. Your thoughts are like seeds, and they will attract every single thing to them that will produce an abundance of whatever is in those seeds. So think of every single thought as a seed. Within that seed is a blueprint for a potentiality, good or bad. For example, there is a seed of a sweet potato. There is a seed of an orange tree. And within the seed of the orange tree, it produces an abundance of citrus, of oranges. In a seed of, say, a poisonous mushroom root, a poisonous mushroom, any poisonous plant, within that seed is the blueprint to give in abundance, to grow in abundance of that poison. So again, the subconscious, just like the soil, is amoral. It does not matter what you plant in it. The soil, the earth, does not discriminate what you plant. It will give in abundance. Just like our subconscious mind, and I'm pointing here because I'm referring to, let me get my little picture out here, the stick figure here. So this is your mind. If you haven't seen this before, quick little recap. This represents your mind. We have two parts, the conscious thinking part of our mind and the subconscious feeling emotional part of our mind. Think of the thinking conscious part is where the seeds are, the seed house. This is where you think. Every thought is a seed. So this is where the seeds dwell. But once they are planted, the subconscious, I want you to think, is the soil. It's the emotions, the rich emotions, and it's only the thoughts that we get emotionally involved with that will take root. Nothing that we do not get emotionally involved with will produce results in our outside world. Just like no seed that remains above ground and is not planted into the soil will grow. And this is the rub, good or bad. If you find yourself triggered easily, highly emotional, reactive, unable to discipline yourself and really be able to get a hold of yourself, right? We say get a hold of yourself when we say it to ourselves or other people are highly reactive, highly emotional. And it's usually when it's negative. But also when it's positive, it's like if we're too excitable and we are just too quick to believe any and everything, that's when we can get taken advantage of. That's why kids, they're the opposite. They are so quick to good emotions, which is good, but that can lead to being preyed on and, manipulated, unfortunately. And that's used in a lot of sales tactics too, to get people all riled up and excited and then sell them something, and then which something they don't even need. But it's always good. Salespeople, it works both ways. I love to be sold. I love for somebody to get me excited about something that I need or want or truly desire. And then I will go ahead and buy. I need to be raised up to that level, but not for things I don't want or don't need. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic. So what we're saying is any single thought that we think about, when it's planted into the soil or the subconscious mind, starts to attract everything. There's a great example of thinking about an acorn. People collect acorns. They have, a really great symbolic meaning for a lot of people, because within the acorn is the blueprint for an oak tree, a grand oak tree. But if somebody has an acorn, say on their nightstand, on a bookshelf, on their desk, that acorn will remain an acorn and never become an oak tree because it's not planted in the soil. Think about your thoughts. You can think all day long about the things you want, but if you never plant it in your heart of hearts, your subconscious mind, get emotionally involved with it, allow yourself to get emotionally involved with it, it will never become the oak tree or the potentiality that's within that seed. Why do we not get emotionally involved in the thoughts, in those seeds of our dreams? Why? Because we feel like we're going to fail. We feel like it's a waste of time. We feel like we're foolish. We feel like we're stupid. We feel like embarrassed. What if it doesn't work out? We're afraid of what other people will think. If we truly allow ourselves to get emotionally involved in a good thought, we don't want to be hurt. We don't want to get our expectations up because then we might sink down. That is truly why we do not even allow ourselves to entertain positive thoughts sometimes, dreams, hopes. But ask yourself this, and I'm asking myself as well. Why is it that I allow myself so freely to get emotionally involved in shitty ass thoughts, fearful thoughts, thoughts of the worst? Foreboding joy, people. We are just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Again, another topic. But let's stick to this law of attraction, that every single thought is a seed and it attracts forces to it to make it grow in abundance. So our minds are like magnets that attract what we think about. The vast majority of people who do not use this law to their advantage, most people, the vast majority, we don't. Rather than being success conscious, they are failure conscious, which means two things. They focus on impossibility, what can't be done, what won't work, literally what I was just saying. We're using this law incorrectly. We get emotionally involved. We're using the law. Make no mistake, the law is always working. But what are we focusing on? What are we planting? What thoughts are we focused on that we're planting into the subconscious mind in our heart of hearts? That once here will produce as results or the fruits of our life. We focus on impossibility, what can't be done, what won't work. Any ding dong can say why something won't work. Any heckler can tell you why you will fail and why everyone else has failed. Anybody can do that. That's easy. It takes a stronger person of faith and discipline of mind to entertain what will work, solutions, being positive focused. That really takes work. That takes courage. Number 2, they assume their perceived limitations are an accurate metric for the actual limitations that exist. So we assume that our perceived limitations are real. Period. We believe that since we can't do it or we haven't done it before, we just can't do it. We believe in our limitations. Henry Ford serves as an excellent example of success consciousness. Ford was intent on building a V8 motor, but his engineers insisted that it was simply not possible to cast an 8-cylinder gas engine in one block. In response to their protests, Ford demanded, "Produce it anyway." After a year of failed attempts, Ford instructed the engineers to continue with their work. His thoughts were not bound by contemporary conceptions of possibility. He set his mind on the feasibility of a V8 motor, and the engineers were eventually able to unlock the secret to the invention. Ford demonstrated the critical truth in the final lines of W.E. Henley's poem Invictus. "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." We have control over our outcomes because we have control over our thoughts. We have control over our outcomes because we have control over our thoughts. Remember, all the outcomes, all the results in our personal life are a result, how we experience the results in our life are a direct indication of the behaviors. It's just a reaction. Remember, everything out here is just its effect. What's the cause? Our thought. Cause, effect, cause, effect. Thought, result. Thought, result. Cause, effect. Unseen, seen. Seed, fruit. Potentiality, reality. What we think materializes in a concrete way in our lives. What we think materializes in a concrete way in our lives. How does anything become to be? Just think of my haircut. I was talking to somebody the other day of like, I've been through a lot with my hair, like, how I used to style it. It's been a journey, but a simple, silly example like that. I saw this hair, I saw the haircut. It's like an amalgamation of everything I've ever wanted. Like, the color, a little light in the front, some layers, the length, the volume. Like I see it in my mind. That's what I want. And now it's here. It wasn't always like that. But anything that we think about and we want that ends up in this world was first a thought or a desire. I didn't have to do that or anything. That's just a silly example. But I thought about when he says, Henry Ford, by this example of saying, no, I want a 8-cylinder engine. And the workers are like, no, you're crazy, man. This can't happen. He's like, do it anyway. After a whole year, he instructed to just continue their work. And eventually they made it happen, solution focused, because all the workers could tell why. Excuse me, Mr. Ford, this has never been done and you're crazy. So we don't see how it can happen. But Ford said, let's stick with it until we find a way. And they did. We always do. It might not come in the way we think, but it always happens. That's why we have to persistent, stick with it. So when he referred to W.E. Henley's poem Invictus, if you haven't read that poem, I have it right here. Let me read it. I might have to squint a little bit. Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clench of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Apologies for that reading. There's just these lights are shining in my face and it's behind it. But Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Wow, I love that. Our thoughts, along with everything else in the universe, are made of vibrations that seek outlet in physical form. So think of thoughts or energy. Thoughts are energy. And energy vibrates on a certain frequency, like high energy, high, fast frequency, low energy, low, dense, slow frequency. So everything in this material world is vibrating. It's moving, it's motion, it's energy, pure energy into solid form. A rock, a garden rock, is vibrating very slowly. Waves, signals, boop, they're energy vibrating very fast. The speed of light, very fast. We vibrate at a certain level. The people you're around vibrate at a certain level, depending on any given moment. Some people are really high vibe and they're like, oh my gosh, this is just like, I could feel them. I could feel the vibe. Or it's really dense and slow. And none is good or bad. It's just high or low, period. But what do we prefer? To be in a high vibe or a low vibe? Grief, sadness, depression is a low vibration. It's slow, it's thick, it's heavy. And it's just feedback as to the mental state we're in. So when we're grieving, which is very natural, we're in a low vibration. When we are depressed, we're in a low vibratory state. It doesn't mean that we can't fill our minds with high positive vibratory thoughts, but our physical state at that moment is in a low vibration. It's just slow, it's heavy, and that's okay, but not to stay there permanently. We don't stay anywhere permanently, by the way. We're always moving and changing. And the faster we realize that and let go and just move on with things, it's just a constant flow. It's a state of movement always. So remember, as Shakespeare said, nothing's good or bad. Our thinking makes it so. So we can be in a low, slow state of depression or grief, but how do we think about it? How do we feel about that? Does it piss us off? Are we angry? Are we pissed? Are we like, I don't deserve this? Do we feel entitled to something better? Do we feel like, I can't believe this is happening to me? What are our thoughts about it? More stinkier thoughts? More low vibe thoughts that are just adding on to this state that's just a natural progression of life? We must, even when we're going through depression or going through grief, we can lean on higher vibratory thoughts or people or situations. There's always a way out. And so, yeah, I love that. Our thoughts, along with everything else in the universe, are made of vibrations that seek outlet in physical form. Oh, that's what was coming to my mind. When we think of emotions, it's the best description that I've heard is energy in motion. Emotions are energy in motion. Emotions are just this electrical charge through our body. Energy. Emotions are energy in motion. And they vibrate at a certain frequency. If you've ever seen Dr. David Hawkins' consciousness scale on a scale of 0 to 1,000, where we can calibrate on a really high vibratory love, peace, joy, forgiveness, or really low grief, hate, shame, anger, all this. So we are constantly on this scale of consciousness vibrating at certain levels, and every emotion kind of vibrates at a certain level. That's why we can feel each other if someone's down or depressed or really happy or excited. It's like, oh my God, what happened to you? Did you get a new job? Did you get a raise? Are you in love? Or, oh my God, did something bad happen? I'm so sorry. You're having a bad day. Are you depressed? Are you upset about something? It's a spectrum. And so vibration, Bob Proctor taught me this, but vibration is just the conscious awareness. Emotion is the conscious awareness of the vibration we're in. Emotion is another word for the conscious vibration of the conscious awareness of the vibration we're in. And so instead of saying, if you're having a bad day, you wouldn't walk up to somebody and say, you know what, I'm consciously aware that I am in a low vibration. You go, you know what, I'm sad. If I were to say, oh my God, I got a raise, I'm so excited, I'm consciously aware that I'm in a high vibration. No, I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So how we label emotions are just another way of describing our conscious awareness of the vibration we're in. All right. So our thoughts, along with everything else in the universe, are made up of vibrations that seek outlet in the physical form. They become magnetized and attract forces, people, and circumstances that resonate with them. The key is to remember that this principle does not distinguish between destructive and constructive thoughts. It will transmute or convert from one form of energy into another, thoughts of poverty just as well as thoughts of riches. As such, you must release any poverty mindset and become success consciousness in any area. Poverty of love, poverty of nourishment, poverty of health, poverty of wealth, poverty versus abundance in all areas. I always give 4 buckets. I say health, mental, physical, emotional. Do you have a poverty mindset or an abundance mindset? Finances, money, ability to pay your bills, have everything that you need and desire. Do you have a poverty mindset or an abundance mindset? Around career or calling, your service to the world, how fulfilled you are, living your purpose, really being aligned with what you're here to do. Do you have a poverty mindset around that? Or is it in abundance? You are just like, going on all cylinders. Or do you feel stagnant? Do you feel stuck? Do you feel inert? Are you in a state of inertia? And then lastly, love and relationships, whether it be with family, your kids, your partner, your spouse, coworkers. Do you have a poverty mindset like everybody's buttholes and I can't get along with anybody, nobody loves me, I can't keep a good relationship, there's nobody good out there? Or is it abundant, like, oh my God, everybody is just a treasure chest, they're so amazing, I love people, I love life, everybody's so wonderful. Yeah, everybody has things they could work on, myself included, but everybody's so amazing, and that's what I'm going to focus on, the abundance, the goodness of people. So where would you rate yourself in all of those areas? Is it a mindset based in success, abundance, or is it in poverty and failure? An action item, magnetize your mind. So this is our call to action today. Take a minute to journal in response to the following questions. What are your dominating thoughts? So do this today. Truly, find a little notepad, do it on your phone, or just think about it. Write it down if you can. What are your dominating thoughts? What thoughts cross your mind the most? Which are constructive thoughts and which are destructive ones? You'll know by the way you feel. They're constructive if you feel expansive and inspired, and they're destructive if you feel, shut down, closed off, tense, or tight. So constricted versus expansive. Magnetize your mind by tuning your thoughts to a success frequency. Transform any destructive thoughts into success-oriented ones, or create new thoughts that reflect a confidence in the value that you can bring to the world in the pursuit of your definite major purpose, and believe in your ultimate success. Use these as affirmations that you repeat to yourself every morning within the first hour of waking up in order to begin attracting riches, whether monetary or otherwise, in your life. I love that. So tomorrow we'll continue with chapter 1. So when we talk about Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, are we wealthy in our minds? Do we have a rich mind, a rich garden of the mind? James Allen talks a lot about your mind being likened to a fertile garden spot. How is the state of your garden? Is it lush like my fake green screen background here? Lush with life, with greenery, with plants. Look at that flower. Is that a rose? I mean, look at this. How is your inner garden? Do you like to be there if you closed your eyes and got quiet? Is it filled with, just good, positive, life-giving? Is it an oasis inside? You love being with yourself? Or is it the last place you want to be? And then you go outside of yourself to numb, to eat, to watch, pornography, to drink alcohol, to smoke cigarettes, to always be around loud, just to get out of your own mind, to Netflix binge, to watch things over and over. Do you always have to get outside of yourself because in here is just unbearable? Maybe your garden you should reassess. Is it just filled with dirt and dust and weeds and it's just ugly and you'd rather go in other people's gardens? Let's cultivate. Let's start to cultivate through this call to action today. Number 1, I want you to really think today, what are your dominating thoughts? And then be honest with yourself. Are they constructive or destructive? Find the ones that are prominent. Whatever they have to do with. Maybe it's about self-image. Maybe it's about confidence. Maybe it's about other people. Judging, hating, being critical, unforgiving, holding resentments. And then try to see how you can switch your perspective. For example, when I work with my clients, if they are really upset about somebody or hurt, and they just can't forgive someone, they do this and it just bothers me. Okay, what's one thing about that person that you can get on board with? It's just like in the world of recovery, in AA, in the big book. They talk about focus on the similarities, not the differences. If you focus on the differences, you are just doomed to a life of pain. When you're focused on what's different about you and everybody else, what you don't agree with, what you think that they're ridiculous for believing because it's just so far out, you don't understand it. Let's find a way to understand other people. Focus on the similarities, on the possibilities, and what you do like. That ensures that you keep your garden clean, your side of the street clean inside, because what you think about other people affects you first. That's why it behooves us to clean our mind up of all judgment, of all criticism, of all unforgiveness, of all grievances. Yes, the person might have done something wrong. We can't change it. The work is in here. How can I change my perception about the situation? That's our work. It's the inner work. So I hope you enjoyed that. I am so happy to be back here live. As always, it's such a pleasure. Leave a comment. Let me know how it went for you. And we will continue tomorrow. We're starting on chapter 1. Desire, the first step toward riches. I'll see you then. Have a wonderful Monday.